Jerry Seinfeld stepped onto the stage in 2024, greeted by a roar of thousands of fans. Yet despite the cheers, a quiet unease lingered in the back of his mind. His own children no longer laughed the way they once did. They asked him, almost clinically, "Is that a bit?" For a man whose life has been defined by comedy, whose observations have shaped pop culture for decades, it was a reminder that humor can be both universal and deeply personal, and sometimes, it doesn't translate even at home. It wasn't the first time Jerry had hinted at the peculiarities of his mind. In 2014, he confided to Brian Williams that he might be on the autism spectrum. He didn't have a formal diagnosis, but he recognized his patterns, his obsession with routines, his literal way of thinking, his difficulty with small talk. Over the years, these traits had become more pronounced. Yet rather than seeing them as limitations, Jerry had channeled them into his greatest gift, his comedy. Jerry Seinfeld was born on April 29, 1954, in Brooklyn, New York, to Kalman and Betty Seinfeld. His father, Kalman, was a Hungarian immigrant and a former soldier, carrying with him stories of survival and a sharp, often dark humor shaped by the horrors and absurdities of war. Kalman ran a small sign painting business, Cal Signs, which doubled as a stage for his jokes. Dinner tables became arenas for humor, lessons in timing, wit, and observation. From his father, Jerry inherited more than just a love of jokes, he inherited a way of seeing the world. Betty Seinfeld, his mother, hailed from a Syrian Jewish background, her parents having immigrated from Aleppo in 1917. Their lives were shaped by displacement, survival, and adaptation. The mixture of Hungarian post-war grit and Middle Eastern storytelling created a rich cultural tapestry for Jerry to grow into. Even his great-grandmother, G.Z. Dion, traced her lineage back to King David, a quiet mythic thread weaving through an otherwise suburban upbringing in Massapequa, Long Island. Humor, in the Seinfeld household, was more than entertainment, it was a shield, a tool for survival, a method to navigate the complex terrain of family dynamics. From a young age, Jerry was captivated by comedy. While other children collected baseball cards, he collected jokes, absorbing the rhythms of late-night television with the focus of a scientist studying an experiment. Buddy Hackett, Johnny Carson, and other comedic giants became mentors in absentia, their gestures, pauses, and inflections catalogued in Jerry's mind. He turned his bedroom into a rehearsal space, scribbling setups and punchlines into notebooks that would eventually number in the dozens. By 10, he had announced with certainty that he would be a stand-up comic. But this was no passing fancy. Jerry approached comedy with precision, practicing in front of mirrors, adjusting timing, refining word choices, and testing jokes on himself long before an audience ever heard them. High school only intensified his dedication. At Massapequa High, he joined the drama club but quickly grew bored with scripts. Instead, he improvised lines, inserting them into serious performances, sometimes drawing irritation from teachers but laughter from classmates. His first real taste of live improvisation, the thrill of spontaneous comedy, became addictive. Summers in Israel exposed him to a tapestry of human behavior and cultural collisions, moments of tension, misunderstanding, and absurdity that would later form the backbone of his observational comedy. By 1974, Jerry enrolled at Queens College, seeking proximity to New York's comedy pulse. Theater and communications courses provided a foundation, but the real education came on the nights he slipped into clubs, observing seasoned comics at work, trying out his material, and enduring the inevitable bomb sets. Airline food jokes fell flat, dormitory refrigerator quips went unheard, yet he persisted. His yellow legal pads, thick, bulging with rewrites, were proof of a meticulous, almost obsessive approach to craft. For Jerry, comedy wasn't about instant applause, it was about clarity, observation, and perfection in the delivery of truth, no matter how small the detail. In 1976, Jerry began performing regularly at New York comedy clubs, including Catch a Rising Star. Life was modest. Some nights he slept on friends' couches, scrounged for money, and faced the uncertainty of a fledgling career. But the struggle shaped him. His comedy relied on subtlety, timing, and observation rather than volume or vulgarity, a style that was quietly revolutionary. Rodney Dangerfield's invitation to appear on an HBO special marked his first national exposure, signaling the beginning of a career that would redefine television comedy. The 1980s tested him in new ways. Hollywood auditions often rejected him for being too ethnic or lacking the conventional screen presence. Rather than conform, Jerry honed his craft further in stand-up, turning mundane experiences, cereal boxes, shoelaces, elevator silences, into precision-crafted routines. In January 1981, a bit about marriage proposals had audiences in stitches, and soon he appeared on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show. That night, the nation noticed him. David Letterman followed, cementing his reputation as a master of the observational joke. Jerry's meticulous approach extended to writing. Every joke was stored, tested, rewritten, and retested, a system that would later allow him to command unprecedented control over his sitcoms. By the mid-1980s, he met Larry David, whose similarly obsessive eye for minutiae led to a creative partnership that would change television. Their conversations, about over-buttoned shirts, awkward encounters, and life's small absurdities, led to a sitcom concept that NBC initially doubted. Yet persistence paid off, and with the support of executive Rick Ludwin, they created the Seinfeld Chronicles. The pilot failed, but Jerry and Larry did not. By 1990, the show re-emerged as Seinfeld, drawing directly from real life. The Soup Nazi, Master of My Domain, and George's Whale Rescue were rooted in actual events, exaggerated just enough to achieve comedic brilliance. Jerry's insistence on authenticity, Elaine's improvisations, the cafe's meticulous recreation, subtle gestures and dialogue, helped the show evolve into a cultural phenomenon. By season 3, Seinfeld was a top 10 show, transforming sitcoms from plot-driven narratives to explorations of life's mundane absurdities. Despite fame, Jerry remained relentless. He revised scripts, mentored writers, and exerted near-total creative control. By 1998, he earned $1 million per episode and amassed a fortune through syndication. Yet stand-up remained central. Tours, specials, and later ventures like Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee kept him connected to his craft, proving that even in the era of global fame, precision and observation were king. Jerry's personal life, however, was as complex as his professional one. Early relationships, such as with Shoshana Lon Stein, and later with Jessica Seinfeld, drew public scrutiny. His 2014 comments on the autism spectrum ignited discussions about neurodiversity and cognition, while his quiet philanthropy, donating millions to autism research and child welfare, illustrated a commitment to impact beyond the spotlight. Innovation defined his later career. Netflix specials revisited his early material, presenting yellow legal pads from the 1970s, showing audiences the evolution of his craft. Broadway appearances, virtual shows during the pandemic, and creative projects like Unfrosted demonstrated his ability to transform the mundane into compelling narrative. Ordinary Moments, a breakfast cereal, a kitchen mishap, a minor social faux pas, became the foundation for humor, revealing Jerry's philosophy: the world's absurdities are always worth noticing. Even in his 70s, Jerry continues to mentor emerging comics, teaching that the path to comedic perfection often requires 80 rewrites for a single joke. His children may not always find him funny, but his persistence in turning observation into laughter remains unwavering. As he prepares for the 2026 World Tour, Laughing Matters, fans can expect a masterclass in timing, nuance, and human insight. Socks, aging, artificial intelligence, and the trivialities of daily life will all become fodder for reflection and humor, proving that true comedy is rooted not in spectacle, but in the quiet, persistent act of noticing. Jerry Seinfeld's story is one of observation, discipline, and relentless pursuit of truth through humor. From the dinner table in Brooklyn to sold-out arenas across the world, his life exemplifies how attention to detail, patience, and relentless curiosity can turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. Comedy, for Jerry, has never been about fame, it's about clarity, human connection, and the shared acknowledgement of life's small absurdities. And even as the world evolves around him, one thing remains constant: Jerry is watching, noticing, and turning the mundane into laughter, one perfectly timed joke at a time. If this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started.